Hey everyone, welcome back to Daily Cup English. I'm Liam and I'm here with Chloe. Chloe, how are you doing today?
Hey, Liam. Hey, everyone. I'm doing pretty well, actually. A little tired, but in a good way. One of those days where you feel calm, but also thoughtful.
Yeah, I get that. Today feels a bit different, doesn't it? There's kind of a special mood in the air.
Definitely. And I think we all know why. Valentine's Day always brings a lot of feelings with it. Some good, some uncomfortable, and some people just want the day to be over as fast as possible.
Exactly. Some people love it, some people hate it, and some people pretend it doesn't exist, but deep down, it still affects them.
That's so true. Even if you say, oh, I don't care about Valentine's Day, it's hard not to notice all the hearts, flowers, and couple photos everywhere.
Yeah, it's on social media, in stores, on TV. You really can't escape it. And that's why today felt like the right time to talk about something real.
Something honest, something a lot of people feel but don't always talk about.
Before we jump into today's conversation, let's take a quick moment to say welcome, especially if this is your first time listening.
Yeah, welcome to Daily Cup English. This is a podcast where we talk about everyday life, real thoughts, real emotions, and real experiences, all in natural, everyday English.
We don't try to sound perfect here. We just talk like normal people, the way you'd talk with a friend over coffee.
So if you're learning English and you want to hear how it's actually used in daily life, this podcast is for you.
And if you enjoy these kinds of conversations, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and follow us.
We post new podcast episodes every single day, so you'll always have something new to listen to, whether you're commuting, relaxing, or just taking a quiet moment for yourself.
Your support really helps us keep going, and it means a lot to know you're listening.
All right, now that we've said that, let's get into today's topic, because it's an important one, especially around this time of year.
So today, we want to talk about something that a lot of people feel on Valentine's Day, but don't always say out loud.
Yeah, today's topic is overcoming loneliness on Valentine's Day.
And just hearing that word, loneliness, can already feel a bit heavy.
It can, but we're not here to make anyone feel worse. We're here to be honest and maybe help people feel a little less alone.
Because the truth is, Valentine's Day can be really hard for some people. Not everyone is excited about it.
Right, and it's not only about being single. I think that's something people often misunderstand.
Yeah, a lot of people think, if I'm single on Valentine's Day, of course I'll feel lonely. But it's not that simple.
Exactly. You can be in a relationship and still feel lonely. You can have friends, family, coworkers, and still feel lonely.
Sometimes it's not about how many people are around you, it's about how connected you feel.
And Valentine's Day has a way of reminding us of that. It kind of puts a spotlight on love, relationships, and happiness.
Which can be nice, but it can also make you look at your own life and think, am I missing something?
Or why doesn't my life look like that? Especially when you see couples everywhere, holding hands, buying gifts, posting photos.
Yeah, it's like the whole world is celebrating something, and you're standing on the outside looking in.
And if you're already feeling a little lonely, Valentine's Day can make that feeling stronger.
That's why we wanted to talk about this today. Not to complain about the holiday, but to talk about how we deal with those feelings.
How we understand them and how we move through them instead of pretending they don't exist.
Because loneliness is a human feeling. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you.
And you're definitely not the only one feeling this way, even if it seems like everyone else is happy and in love.
I remember one Valentine's Day a few years ago when I was single, and honestly, it hit me harder than I expected.
Yeah? What was it like for you?
Well, I thought I was fine at first. I told myself, it's just another day, it doesn't matter. But as the day went on, that feeling slowly changed.
That sounds very familiar.
I woke up, checked my phone, and the first thing I saw was social media. Photos of couples having breakfast together, people posting flowers, gifts, love notes.
Yeah, that's always dangerous.
Exactly. And even though I didn't want to compare myself, I did, without even trying. I started thinking, wow, everyone else seems so happy.
And you're just there.
Yeah, just sitting there with my coffee, scrolling, feeling more and more empty. I wasn't crying or anything dramatic. It was more quieter than that.
That quiet kind of loneliness can be the hardest.
It really is. It's not loud sadness, it's more like this heavy feeling in your chest, like something is missing, but you can't clearly say what it is.
Did you talk to anyone about it?
No, I didn't. That was part of the problem. I felt embarrassed, like I wasn't supposed to feel that way.
Because it's Valentine's Day and everyone expects you to be either happy or not care at all.
Exactly. I thought, I'm an adult. I shouldn't let a holiday affect me. So I kept it to myself.
And that probably made it feel even heavier.
It did. The more I tried to ignore it, the stronger the feeling became. I remember going to work that day and feeling completely disconnected from everyone around me.
Even though people were there.
Yeah, people were talking, laughing, making plans for dinner with their partners, and I was physically there, but mentally somewhere else.
That's such an honest way to describe it.
I kept asking myself questions like, why am I alone? Or is there something wrong with me? And those thoughts were way more painful than being single itself.
That's important. It's not always the situation, it's the story we tell ourselves about it.
Exactly. Looking back, I realized I wasn't just lonely, I was judging myself.
And Valentine's Day kind of pushed those thoughts to the surface.
Yeah, it didn't create the loneliness, but it definitely made me notice it more.
You know, listening to you talk about that, it reminds me of something I went through too, but in a very different situation.
Yeah? How so?
I remember one Valentine's Day when I was actually in a relationship. From the outside, everything looked fine. We had plans, we exchanged gifts, all of that.
So people probably thought you were happy.
Exactly, but inside, I felt incredibly lonely.
That's interesting, because I think a lot of people assume being in a relationship means you're protected from loneliness.
I used to think that too, but being with someone doesn't automatically mean you feel understood or connected.
So what was missing for you?
Emotional connection. We were spending time together, but we weren't really talking, not in a deep, honest way.
So you were together, but still alone in your own head.
Yes, and that loneliness felt different from being single, but it was just as painful, maybe even more confusing.
Because you start thinking, I shouldn't feel this way, I have a partner.
Exactly. I felt guilty for feeling lonely, like I wasn't allowed to feel that way because I wasn't alone.
That's such a strange pressure, isn't it?
It really is. Society teaches us that loneliness equals being single, but that's not the full picture.
I guess loneliness has more to do with connection than relationship status.
Yes, feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling like you can be yourself with someone.
So, in a way, Valentine's Day was hard for you too, just for different reasons.
Absolutely. Seeing everyone celebrate love made me more aware of what I wasn't getting emotionally.
That makes sense. I think I used to believe that once I found a relationship, loneliness would disappear.
I believed that too, until I learned it's not that simple.
So maybe loneliness isn't about who you're with, but how connected you feel, to others and to yourself.
I completely agree, and Valentine's Day just has a way of bringing that truth to the surface.
I think one reason Valentine's Day feels so intense is because it's everywhere. You can't really avoid it.
Yeah, it's not just one day on the calendar, it feels like a whole season.
Exactly. Weeks before Valentine's Day, stores are already full of hearts, chocolates, and reminders that love is supposed to look a certain way.
And then there's social media. That probably makes things 10 times harder.
For sure. People post the best moments of their relationships, and when you're feeling lonely, it's easy to believe that everyone else is happier than you.
Even though we know those posts don't show the full story.
Right. No one posts the arguments, the silence, or the disappointment, just the smiles.
So you start comparing your real life to someone else's highlight reel.
And that comparison can be really painful, especially on a day that's supposed to be about love.
I think Valentine's Day creates a lot of expectations. There's this idea that you should feel loved, wanted, and special.
And if you don't feel that way, you might think something is wrong with you.
Exactly. It turns a normal feeling like loneliness into something that feels like a personal failure.
I remember thinking, if everyone else can be happy today, why can't I?
That's such a common thought, but it's also really unfair to yourself.
Yeah, because feelings don't follow the calendar.
And love doesn't always show up in the way movies or ads tell us it should.
Valentine's Day kind of puts love in a box. Couples, flowers, dinner, romance,
And if your life doesn't fit into that box, you can feel invisible.
which makes the loneliness feel stronger than usual.
Exactly. It's not that Valentine's Day creates loneliness, it just shines a bright light on it.
And when that light is too bright, it can be overwhelming.
So when that loneliness shows up, especially on a day like Valentine's Day, the real question becomes, what do we do with it?
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, my first reactions weren't very healthy.
Same here.
I used to think that if I just distracted myself enough, the feeling would go away.
Let me guess. Endless scrolling?
Exactly. I would spend hours on my phone going through social media, videos, random posts, anything to avoid sitting with my thoughts.
And did it help?
Not at all. It actually made things worse. The more I scrolled, the more I compared myself to others.
That's the trap. We call it distraction, but sometimes it's just avoidance.
Yeah, and another thing I did was telling myself to just be stronger.
That sounds familiar.
I thought feeling lonely meant I was weak, so I tried to push the feeling away instead of understanding it.
I did something similar. I kept myself extremely busy. Plans, work, noise, so I wouldn't have to feel anything.
But the moment everything got quiet, the loneliness came back.
Exactly, because we never really dealt with it. We just covered it up.
Over time, I realized that the healthier approach wasn't about escaping the feeling.
It was about listening to it.
Yeah, asking myself, what am I actually feeling right now, instead of judging it?
For me, a healthier step was slowing down, turning off my phone, giving myself space to think.
That sounds scary at first, though.
It is. Sitting alone with your thoughts isn't easy, but it's honest.
And honesty was what I needed, not another distraction.
Exactly. Once you stop fighting the feeling, it starts to lose some of its power.
It doesn't disappear, but it becomes something you can understand and live with. Once I stopped trying to run away from the feeling, I started doing small things that actually helped.
Small things are usually the most powerful.
One thing I began to do was simply going for a walk. No music, no phone in my hand, just walking.
That sounds simple, but it's not easy.
Not at all. At first, my mind was loud. All the thoughts I'd been avoiding showed up.
But after a while, they usually calm down.
Exactly. And walking made me feel connected to the world again. I'd notice people, trees, sounds, little reminders that life is still moving.
I love that. For me, one helpful thing was reaching out to someone, not to talk about loneliness, but just to connect.
Like a friend?
Yeah, sometimes an old friend I hadn't talked to in months. Just a simple message like, "Hey, how are you doing?"
And how did that feel?
It reminded me that connection doesn't always have to be romantic. A short conversation can still warm you up.
That's a great point. I also started writing things down. Nothing fancy, just my thoughts.
Almost like talking to yourself on paper.
Exactly. When the thoughts stayed in my head, they felt bigger. When I wrote them down, they became clearer and less scary.
I did something similar, but in a different way. I started treating Valentine's Day like a normal day that I could shape for myself.
What do you mean by that?
Instead of focusing on what I didn't have, I planned something I actually enjoyed. Good food, a movie I loved, a quiet evening.
So you took control of the day.
Yes, not in a dramatic way, just gently choosing myself.
That's powerful. It turns the day into something personal, not something you have to survive.
Exactly, and over time, those small choices changed how I felt about Valentine's Day.
You know, for a long time, I really believed Valentine's Day was only for couples.
I think a lot of people still believe that.
Yeah, I used to see it as this reminder of what I didn't have, like the day was saying, this isn't for you.
That's such a strong message, even if no one says it directly.
Exactly. And I think that belief made the loneliness worse.
I get that, but at some point I started questioning that idea.
Questioning it how?
I asked myself, who decided Valentine's Day is only about romantic love?
That's a good question.
There are so many kinds of love: friendship, family, self-respect, even love for the life you're building.
I agree, but I'll be honest, it took me a while to truly feel that, not just understand it logically.
That makes sense. Feelings don't change just because we want them to.
At first, redefining Valentine's Day felt a little fake to me, like I was just trying to make myself feel better.
I felt that too, but over time it started to feel more real.
What changed?
I stopped waiting for the day to give me love and started choosing how I wanted to experience it.
So instead of seeing it as a test you might fail, you saw it as an open space.
Exactly, an open space where I could include the people and things that mattered to me.
That's interesting. I think once I stopped seeing Valentine's Day as a judgment of my life, it lost some of its power.
Yes, the day didn't change, but your relationship with it did.
And that made loneliness feel less personal, less like something was wrong with me.
Which is so important because loneliness isn't a failure, it's a feeling. If you're listening to this right now and Valentine's Day feels heavy for you, we just want you to know something.
You're not strange for feeling this way, and you're definitely not alone.
Loneliness doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you've failed at love or life.
It just means you're human.
Sometimes we look around and think everyone else has it figured out, but that's rarely true.
A lot of people are carrying feelings they don't talk about, especially on days like this.
So if today feels quiet or empty or uncomfortable, that doesn't mean it will always feel this way.
Feelings come and go, even the ones that feel very strong right now.
You don't have to force yourself to be positive. You don't have to pretend you're okay if you're not.
It's okay to take the day slowly, to breathe, to give yourself some kindness.
And maybe remind yourself that love isn't always something you receive from others.
It's also something you can give to yourself in small, simple ways.
Even listening to this podcast right now can be a form of connection.
Someone is talking to you. Someone understands.
And that matters more than we sometimes realize.
You know, one thing I've learned over the years is that loneliness doesn't really disappear forever.
Yeah, it comes and goes.
Exactly. I used to think there was a point in life where I'd finally feel complete and never lonely again.
I think a lot of us believe that.
But life doesn't really work that way. Even when things are going well, loneliness can still show up.
And that doesn't mean something is wrong. It just means we're growing or changing.
For me, the biggest shift happened when I stopped asking, how do I get rid of loneliness? And started asking, how do I live with it?
That's such an important difference.
Yeah, once I stopped fighting it, it felt less scary, more like a signal than an enemy.
A signal telling you that you need connection or rest or honesty.
Exactly. Sometimes loneliness was telling me I needed to reach out. Other times it was telling me I needed to slow down and reconnect with myself.
I've learned something similar. Being comfortable alone is a skill. It takes time.
And it doesn't mean you don't want people in your life.
Not at all. It just means you're not afraid of your own company.
Which makes future relationships healthier too.
Because you're not looking for someone to fix you. You're sharing your life, not escaping it.
So when Valentine's Day comes around now, I try to see it as just one day.
One moment in a much bigger story.
Exactly. It doesn't define my worth or my future.
And loneliness, when it shows up, doesn't get the final word. I feel like conversations like this are important, especially on days when emotions run a little deeper.
Yeah, it's nice to slow down and actually talk about what's going on inside, instead of pretending everything is fine.
And I hope anyone listening feels a bit less alone after hearing this.
Me too. Even if nothing in your life changes today, maybe your perspective can change just a little.
Sometimes that's enough to take the pressure off.
Valentine's Day doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to make it meaningful in some big dramatic way.
It can just be a normal day where you're a little kinder to yourself.
Or a day where you allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling without judging it.
And maybe even smile at the fact that you're still learning about yourself.
Yeah, that's part of being human.
And honestly, those quiet moments of reflection can matter more than flowers or fancy dinners.
I agree. They stay with you longer. All right, we're going to wrap things up here.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us and listening to today's episode.
If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe and follow Daily Cup English.
We share new podcast episodes every day talking about real life, real feelings, and everyday experiences in natural English.
Whether you're listening in the morning, at night, or somewhere in between, we're really glad you're here.
Take care of yourself today, and remember, you're not alone in what you're feeling.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye for now.